I'd like to call the Wilson County Commission meeting to order of November the 19th, 2018. We welcome all of our guests tonight and ask you to come back at any opportunity that you might have to be with us. This time I'll introduce Commissioner Justin Smith that will take care of our prayer and pledge. And while he's coming, I will just remind everyone that Commissioner Billy Rowland, that took care of the Noreen area for quite some time, passed away. His services will be at Partlow Chapel on Wednesday at 11 o'clock. Visitation will be Tuesday from 4 to 8, and then Wednesday will start at 10 until the funeral at 11 o'clock, and that's Commissioner Billy Rowland, which served here for many years in Commissioner Ash's district and was on the Road Commission for quite some time as well. So please remember him and your family, please. Mr. Smith?
Good evening, Chairman. This evening I'd like to bring up Brother Shane Ray, if he would, to lead us in our prayer. While he's on his way, I'd like to introduce Brother Shane Ray. He is a native of Smith County, Tennessee, is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran. After leaving the Marine Corps in 2001, he moved back to Smith County with his wife, Miss Candy. She is here this evening. She also works for our educational building. Brother Shane Ray, he met the Lord in Gordonsville, First Baptist Church in December of 2003. Brother Shane immediately answered the call to God's calling to serve and to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. He's also served as a youth minister at Gordonsville First Baptist Church from 2004 to 2011. Also, he served as a youth minister at Hillcrest Baptist Church in Lebanon from 2011 to June of 2017. He currently serves as associate pastor and director of youth at Outreach Baptist Church in Smithville, Tennessee. Brother Shane Ray and Miss Candy has been married for almost 20 years, and they have 3 beautiful young children, daughters. And I'm going to ask Brother Shane, dear brother of mine, thank you for being here. If you would.
Please rise.
Everybody rise, if you would. If you would, pray with us, please. Thank you.
Our Father God, we thank you for this evening. God, we thank you for the privilege, God, to call upon your name and, God, invite you, God, to be a part of our decision-making tonight. God, I thank you for a county government, God, who's willing to openly acknowledge dependence upon the Lord God. And Lord, I pray tonight that, God, every vote that's cast, everything that's done here, God, would be honorable in your sight. Lord God, you said in your word 3 times in 6 verses in Romans 13 that, God, these appointed officials, God, they're your ministers, and they're your ministers for the good of the people. But God, there's no authority except from heaven, and God, whom you choose to give it to. And so, God, great grace has been bestowed upon every individual here tonight because you have given them authority. And Lord, I pray that no personal agenda, no ulterior motive, God, would find its lodging here tonight. But that, God, the goodness of God would reign through the votes and things that are done here for the glory of God. Lord, we thank you, God, for your Son, Jesus Christ, who gives us the opportunity for salvation through his shed blood. And Lord, we love you, and we pray that if anyone here, God, has never heard the message of the good news of the gospel, that, God, they would know that the repentance and faith brings salvation in Christ alone. But we love you, we praise you, and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. If you would stay standing, if you would salute the flag as we lead in our pledge. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. And Brother Shane, thank you so much for spending time with us tonight. You will press yes on your panel to record your presence at tonight's meeting. Please record. Got 23 present, 2 absent. Okay. Report from the steering committee, Commissioner Patton.
At this evening at 6:40 p.m. we had a quorum present, and the agenda was adopted.
I got a motion to approve. So moved. And a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? Adoption of the agenda. Commissioner Patton.
The agenda was also adopted unanimously.
Got a motion on that. Do I hear a second? Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? for the consent agenda?
There's one resolution that's in there. You can take it up as a consent or in the regular course of business, whichever you want to do.
We'll do it during the regular course of business if Commissioner Keith will take care of that for us. Okay, we'll do that. This time, special recognition by Commissioner Glover.
Don't get the WEMA committee to come on up with us. Also Deputy Chief Chris Allen and his family. Also Director Cooper. Chief, now Chief, you can come on up too. Thank you for coming. How you doing, Chief? Pretty good. Resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee, honoring Mount Juliet Fire Department Deputy Chief Chris Allen for his work with the logistics support team. Whereas in September of this year, residents of the state of South Carolina was subject to Hurricane Florence, bringing torrential rain, severe flooding to many areas. Whereas from September 24th, 2018 to September 30th, 2018, a 5-person logistics support team deployed to West Columbia, South Carolina for a 7-day mission to coordinate the delivery of commodities into the impacted South Carolina counties. Whereas the logistic team included emergency professionals from the cities of Knoxville, Mount Juliet, and Sevierville, as well as Giles County and Tennessee Emergency Management Association. Whereas Mount Juliet Fire Department Deputy Chief Chris Allen was a member of this logistics support team and had the honor of working with Greg Lumpkin, serving as an assistant stage and area manager at the Florence, South Carolina airport as part of the 5-person logistics support team from Tennessee. Whereas the overall goal of this team was to relocate the citizens of this area in South Carolina and to work for damage assessment and immediate needs of those adversely affected by Hurricane Florence and associated floodings. And whereas the citizens of Mount Juliet and Wilson County should be proud of the experience, training, and commitment of Mount Juliet Fire Department Deputy Chief Chris Allen and his willingness to assist the citizens of South Carolina during this extreme weather event. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee, that we hereby honor Mount Juliet Fire Department Deputy Chief Chris Allen for his willingness to travel to South Carolina and to assist the citizens of South Carolina in their time of need, and thank him for his commitment.
All in favor, say aye.
Appreciate it. Also gave one to the Mount Juliet Fire Department Chief so he can display proudly at your station. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you. You may sit down.
Hey, Chief, how you doing, bud? Everything well?
Thank you, Chief Lupton. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Commissioner Glover. A special recognition from Commissioner Stafford, and she's asked to defer that because of an illness in the family of her honoree. So we will move forward. If you'll bring that back to us next month, Mayor. Report from the Minutes Committee, Commissioner Bishop.
Yes, thank you. The Minutes Committee met tonight, excuse me, at 6:35, and we approved the minutes from the October 15th meeting, and I would make a motion that these minutes be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed? Reading of the minutes? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed? This time, Mayor Jennings, if you would just maybe say a few words about the passing of Mr. Elmer Marler.
Yeah, Watertown lost its oldest citizen. He hadn't lived there in a few years, but last week or maybe the week before, Mr. Elmer Marler was 103 years old. And at that time, he was the oldest living graduate of Watertown High School. World War II veteran, and I think I know what battle he was in, but I'm afraid to say so. I'm afraid I'll get it wrong. But he loved Watertown. He loved Wilson County. I got to visit with him on his 100th birthday, And I'm ashamed to say I didn't visit with him anymore after that, but he was always interested in his community. And so they're going to be a graveside service tomorrow at 1 o'clock at Jones Hill Cemetery with full military honors. So Mayor asked me to say something about it, and I'm glad to do that.
Encourage all of you, if you have an opportunity, it's at Jones Hill Cemetery tomorrow at 1 o'clock, military service full for Mr. Elmer Muller, and if you have an opportunity, that would be awesome to attend. I want to just give a little plug here for the 6th Annual Wilson Warriors Memorial Breakfast, since we're on the military side. It's going to be Saturday, December the 1st. Members of our commission, I know Commissioner Ash, maybe others of you may have tickets that they would love to let you purchase on those. This organization has done a tremendous job of taking care of veterans in Wilson County, and one thing about Wilson County, it loves its veterans, no question about that. But if you look at the number of names that they put on the wall over here in the plaza, and also if you get a chance to go out to Wilson County Memorial Garden and just look at all the flags that are displayed out there that they put out during Veterans Day. So I just encourage you to see Commissioner Ash. Anyone else they can see, Commissioner? Kenny, Ms. Venata, Mr. Jerry, anybody else that's with them, please see them. That was a plug because they thought if I bought 4, everybody else would. Just on a side note, Miss Linda Grandstaff at the Archives does a tremendous job. We met this week and talked a little bit. I've got several folks that do a tremendous job that I get a chance to work with, but she let me know about 4 things that I thought was important to tell you about, and I may send you an email so that you'll have it for record as well. But she did some research on a farm right across from Cedar Forest that Buddy Ingram had asked her to search for, and it became known as the Reed Farms, about 70 acres that they purchased, and they are going to maintain that farm and make it a working farm for everybody to go and see. And so really good for our agriculture. You know, we're #1 in Century Farms in Wilson County and continue to try to take care of that heritage. And so I thank her for letting me know that. She has her 2nd Wilson County picture book that hopefully will be in your hands by Christmas. And she really has enjoyed working on it, and she hopes to get one of those for you as well. And then the last thing that she talked about here was that she won a grant for $1,250 for acid-free folders that our volunteers use to display some of the archives as they go through those old public records about in the 1700s. She has a great group of people that come down and work with her almost every day. And the last thing I'll say, I just told a fib, but she was able to get in touch with Miss Beulah Garrett. Many of you may know Miss Beulah. She has donated an eagle to the museum, Veterans Museum over here. It stands about 4 feet tall on an oak stand. The eagle, her son, had purchased this before he passed in 2002 in a New York museum for about $10,000. She's downsizing, and she thought this would be a good place to put this eagle so it would continue on. So I appreciate her for doing that, as well as for Miss Bueller. So if you happen to see her in passing, please tell her thank you for that. This time, the last thing I would like to say, if I could ask Gabriel Burgess if he would come forward, please. Mr. Gabriel, as he comes forward, I just want you to know he was honored this last month at the RTA meeting in Nashville, where we have our regional meeting. Mr. Gabriel is honored as Employee of the Month for the on the transit side for Wilson County government. He takes care of all of our passengers that ride the Star down every day, all of the special trains that go down there, and you may think that is an easy task, but it's not. He's in charge of all the special trains like the Titans, and so the organization of that for the safety of our citizens in Wilson County that he may or may not know, he does a tremendous job at that. The safety and security in today's world as the night gets dark and people load and load off of that train. So, Mr. Gabriel, we just appreciate what you do. I thank you for coming and all the way up here to Wilson County, but I wanted our commission to see you as well as our citizens, and just thank you for the job you do for us. And you don't know probably half of our people that you take care of, but you do a tremendous job, and we wanted to congratulate you. Thank you. Thank you again. He does a tremendous job. If you're ever down that way, you can look him up. He'll take care of any need that you may have nearly. Okay. Don't think I have left anything else out. It'd be time to move on. For the notaries, Mr. Goodall, any additions to be added to your notary list? All good. I hear a motion to approve the notary list. I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Okay. It is time to appoint the General Sessions Family Court Judge. As you well know, Judge Gwynn's last day will be December the 31st. We had a conversation back on September the 17th where he informed me of his time to retire. We appreciate him and his service to our county and the citizens of Wilson County. As we began to talk, he said that, Mayor, just let you know that on January the 3rd, there'll be a full docket. And so if there's any way that you can move forward with filling my position, that would be the best thing for the courts and the citizens of Wilson County. So we reached out to our county attorney and others as well to make sure that that was legal for us to do that. It was, and so normally the job by law is to be posted 7 days only. We posted this job for 31 days through the whole month of October, from October the 1st to October the 31st. A lot of people don't look at public notices, and so therefore we asked them to run 3 different articles on this retirement, and I think they also ran a 4th one I noticed in the paper on Saturday. And so that has been fairly publicly noticed. I know our commission has dealt with this for well over 40 days or better in communications with possible candidates and other citizens as well. So it has come to the time that we will make the election. Let me go over the process. Process will be as follows. We will have public opportunity for nominations. That simply means that you're welcome to come to the back mic. It will be hot. Make your nomination for whoever you think should fill this particular spot. This is not a time for you to make a speech for them. This is just simply a nomination period. And if somebody nominates your person that you were going to nominate, you don't have to stand up and re-nominate them. So it's not about how many people can nominate the same person. And I just say that just to be clear on where we're at. So you will have the opportunity to do that. That's what the law sets aside. We will close public comment period. Any name that you mention will be heard and accepted by the commission, but those people will not speak or be voted on unless the county commission repeats that nomination. So the only people that will vote on tonight or be heard from tonight will be the people that the county commission speaks on. But they want to hear from the public, so we'll do that first. We'll close public comment period. We'll open the floor for the commission. As the commission will nominate ever how many they choose to do so, at that time, we'll close nomination period, and then we'll move on to where we'll let each one that's nominated come to the front podium here and speak to you 5 or so minutes, so just to talk a little bit about themselves. I'm sure you've already done your homework, but we'll give them a chance to make that statement. Once they finish making those statements, then we'll vote by paper ballot on that. That will be open to the public once tonight's over, but voting by paper ballot is running by the rules of 32A in our rule booklet. So we'll do that. If we have more than 3 or 4, I mean we have, we'll vote until the one person has a majority of 13 of the commissioners' votes. I have to have 13 people to vote for one for that person to win the nomination. After the first vote, if nobody has 13, the lowest person will drop off and we'll re-vote again. Okay, and then after that, this person would serve until the next general election, which is in 22, I think, or in 2020, excuse me. In 20, they'll serve until the next general election. In 20, they'll run at that particular time. Whoever wins there will have to run again in 2022 to get on the judge cycle. So any questions from my commissioners? Okay, so we'll open public comment. I don't have to go out of session to do that. So we'll open public comment period now for any nominations that you would like for the county commission to hear from. Please please come to the back podium, state your name and address for the record, and give us your nomination. That mic is hot, is it? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and distinguished county commissioners. I want to thank you all for your service to our great county. My name is Paul Stum, and I reside at 515 West Spring Street here in Lebanon. And I'm here tonight to nominate Councilor Inslee Hagan. I know him to be a man of exemplary character, of sound judgment, and of superior intellect.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Alan Poindexter. I'm a local attorney. Been practicing here since this was referred to as the new courthouse. I'm here to place for your consideration the nomination of Miss Julie Robinson. She's been practicing for many years in this specific area, and I feel she's eminently qualified for this position.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Elaine Moore. I live at 5011 Lake Ridge Drive in Old Hickory, which is really West Wilson. I nominate Trey Marshall. He is a very dedicated young man, serves the community, volunteers with all youth groups, and he's just a very qualified young man.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, we will close public comment period. Commission, you've heard 3 names mentioned to you tonight, and so now I'll open the floor for nominations from the commission. Commissioner Bernard.
I'd like to nominate Trey Marshall.
Thank you. Commissioner Vanatta.
Mayor Hutto, County Commissioners, as you all know, we've had some very difficult decisions to make regarding appointments in the last few years. We've all received many calls and letters regarding this appointment, and our decision tonight isn't easy. I've always prayed about my decision and put a lot of thought in any decision that I make. I believe any candidate that is nominated tonight would do a great job in the position of Wilson County General Sessions Court Judge, Division 3. After much thought and prayer, I have reached my decision tonight. Tonight, I'm nominating the candidate that lives in my district and has supported me in my campaigns. It is an honor and a privilege to nominate Mr. Inslee Hagan to fill the position vacated by Judge Gwynn's retirement, and I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to Judge Gwynn for his many years of service.
Thank you, Commissioner Vanatta. Commissioner Marlowe.
I'd like to nominate Miss Julie Robinson, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Marlowe. Any other nominations? Got a second? All in favor say aye. And opposed? Thank you for that. I have 3 names for you to vote on at this time, and I will ask Ms. Robinson if she would, Sonia Dowdy, Sandra Dowdy, to pass that out. My bad. Thank you. I thought you got married over the weekend. I didn't know. And Mr. Marlowe, if you would, when we finish, if you'll help us count, that will appreciate that. Be sure that you vote for 1, Mr. Trey Marshall, Mr. Inslee Hagan, or Miss Julie Robinson. Please be sure and put your district name or district number and sign your name to your ballot, or it will not be counted. You must put your district and sign your name for your ballot to count. And the 3 names are Trey Marshall, Inslee Hagan, Julie Robinson. That's exactly right. Scratch that.
Thank you.
Yeah, just hold those. I'm going to go in the order that they were called. Mr. Trey Marshall, please come forward. Thank you. Yeah, I laid it all out and didn't follow my own rules. If you'll just hold your ballots, that would be good. That's what I get for not writing my order down. Thank you for wanting to serve, Mr. Trey.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, County Commissioners. It is an honor to be nominated and considered for such a prestigious position. I want to start by telling you a little bit about myself. I graduated from the University of Tennessee at Martin in 1999, and I graduated from the Cecil C. Humphrey School of Law in Memphis in 2002. I've been practicing law for over 15 years in private practice, and I have known from early in my practice that one day I wanted to be a judge. A couple of you have asked me throughout this process why I wanted to be a judge, and my answer is simple. You see, as an attorney, we have the opportunity to have an impact a positive impact on the lives of our clients that come into our door. But I have more to offer and I have more to give. And as a judge, we have the opportunity to have an impact on all of Wilson County residents that step through the doors of that courthouse. I believe that there are 4 important criteria that anyone who is seeking the position of judge should possess. First is experience. Not only do they need experience in hearing cases, but I think they need experience in the practice of law and in trying cases. I have been the deputy city judge for the city of Mount Juliet. I have been a city judge as sitting for a special city judge in the city of Alexandria. And I've also been a substitute judge for Judge Gwynn in this very courtroom that we are seeking to replace him tonight. So I believe that I have the experience necessary in hearing cases to succeed him. In addition to that, as I mentioned earlier, I have been practicing law for over 15 years. And I've practiced in courtrooms all throughout the great state of Tennessee. I've practiced as far east as Kingsport, and I've practiced as far west as Jackson. And that has given me the ability to view judges in action and to watch their demeanor and how they conduct their courtroom and to learn from that and to apply that if I'm appointed as the next General Sessions judge. The second criteria that I feel is important for a person who's seeking to become a judge is the reputation among their fellow bar members and the reputation among the judges that they practice in front of. You know, I have been fortunate in my practice that I often get calls from attorneys here locally and attorneys in Davidson County and other counties that have a particularly difficult issue that they are facing, whether it be a child support question, a jurisdictional question, or any other type of question. And they call me and ask me for advice. And I don't take that lightly. You know, that is a sign for me that they value my opinion. In addition to that, I often have attorneys who will refer coworkers, friends, and family members of themselves to me, whether it be because it's a case that they don't handle or it's a case that may be difficult and out of their area. But for whatever reason, I take that as a sign of respect as well. They want me and they trust me to represent their coworkers, families, and friends because they know that I'll do a good job. The second criteria that I think is important is the third criteria would be community involvement. You know, I think it's important for a judge to be seen outside of a courtroom. I think it is very important for a judge to be involved in their community. And I can submit to you that I am heavily involved in Wilson County. I am a member of the Mount Juliet Breakfast Rotary Club. I am a founding member of Kiwanis Club of Mount Juliet. I am a 2014 Leadership Wilson graduate. I sit currently on the board of directors for the Mount Juliet Senior Activity Center. I am a board of trustee member for Providence United Methodist Church. And I am currently the district chair for the Hermitage District of Boy Scouts of America, part of which encompasses West Wilson County and Mount Juliet. In addition to that, I have 4 children that I have thoroughly enjoyed coaching over the past 9 years. I've been able to coach them in basketball, baseball, softball, and soccer. Some better than others, some sports better than others, but I have enjoyed it. It has given me the opportunity to touch the lives of children in our community that one day I hope they can look at me and look at my example and take that with them in whatever they do. The last and maybe the most important criteria I will submit to you is temperament. You see, most people when they go into court, it's not a good day for them. Unfortunately, in our business, there are very few happy days in court. In this line of work, we do get some. We get adoptions. And Jody Alds can tell you all about that. But those are one of the few happy days that we have in court. But all too often, it's not happy days. And unfortunately, in my practice, I have seen judges be demeaning, disrespectful, and rude to people that are in their courtroom. And that does one thing. That leaves a negative taste in their mouth about the court process and the judicial process. And it's unfortunate because it shouldn't be that way. I have also seen good judges and judges who conduct themselves in a respectful and courteous manner. And I will submit to you, if you choose me as your next General Sessions judge, I will always be respectful and courteous to everyone that enters that courtroom. I believe that a judge is not there to make law. It is my opinion that the judge is there to interpret the law and to apply it fairly and impartially to everyone that enters their courtroom. And I can submit to you that if you give me that honor of appointing me tonight, I will do that. I will submit to you that if you look at all these criteria, you will see that I'm the best candidate here tonight to replace Judge Gwynn. I humbly ask you for your vote. It would be an honor to represent not only you as the commissioners, but Wilson County in general. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Inslee Hagan?
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the commission, thank you all. I want to be the first to congratulate the Mount Juliet Golden Bears and the Watertown Purple Tigers on great seasons. I think that's excellent, and wish the best of luck to Friendship Commanders as they're still in the hunt. I want to first thank Commissioner Vanatta for nominating me. Thank you, Sue, and I'm proud to live in her district. She does a great job representing us. Also want to thank Dr. Paul Stum for nominating me as well. And I want to thank each and one of you for talking with me over the last, I guess 2.5, 3 months or so that we've been involved, deeply involved in this process. Even before the election, I was talking to some of you. And I've truly enjoyed getting to know you, and I hope that you've enjoyed getting to know the three of us. And finally, I want to thank Judge Gwynn. Judge Gwynn has set the bar for judges. He is extraordinarily intelligent. And he is so good at what he does that he has really established a very well-run court, and I hope to emulate what Judge Gwynn has done come January the 1st. It's an honor, truly an honor, to be considered for this position. I don't envy you all tonight. I think you've got a very difficult decision because I think you've got three very good candidates to choose from. I know Julie and Trey. They're fine people, and they're very good lawyers. You got a very tough, demanding job here. You always do, serving the citizens of Wilson County. Tonight, you've got an especially difficult decision. You may not be selecting the next Supreme Court justice tonight, but this is a very, very important court to this county. This court affects the lives of people. It changes people's lives, and making the decisions it makes are very, very important to this county. This court decides matters of child custody. It decides visitation for parents who are divorcing and for parents who have never been married. It divides marital property. Anybody who's been through a divorce knows what that's like. It's difficult. This court determines orders of protection. And for those of you who are not familiar with that, those things likely involve domestic violence. They can keep people from their homes, and they can keep people from even being able to have a firearm. This court administers probate estates. It decides will contests, which can be very, very complicated. And they determine who gets what in an estate. This court determines guardianships for minors and conservatorships for adults. This court has to ensure that the most vulnerable people, the most vulnerable in our community, are taken care of and protected. In addition, this court has jurisdiction over mental health patients. You may not realize it, but this court can deprive people of their liberty when they are determined to be a threat to themselves or others. Now just imagine, they can prevent somebody from being able to walk around or go to their own home. This is a big deal, folks. It's a really big deal. The most important job this court has is protecting children. I've done all of these things, every single one. I've made the tough decisions. I've practiced in all of these areas of law, and I've filled in for Judge Gwynn at his request numerous times in all of these areas. I believe Judge Gwynn asked me to do that because he has the confidence in me that I'm capable of doing the job. Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked me to do it. I've practiced in all these areas of law. And since Judge Gwynn's upcoming retirement, he probably told me approximately 2 years ago that he planned on retiring. And he said he thought it would be the end of 2018. I've not wavered in my pursuit of this court. I've never changed my mind. This is what I've wanted to do. I've made my plans known, and I want all of you to know that a vote for me tonight will not be a vote wasted. I intend on seeking this position at the next general election in 2 years. It'll really be about 19 months from now. And again in 2022 as well. I've also filled in for Judge Tatum and Judge Flood. Again, I think that demonstrates that they also have confidence in me and my ability to preside in their courts and determine those issues that become before them. And of course, Judge Tatum, having juvenile jurisdiction and civil sessions jurisdiction, I've done both of those courts for him. I'm also presently in my second 3-year term for the hearing committee of the Board of Professional Responsibility. That sounds like a big name, but that's the group that hears complaints against lawyers. Lawyers are self-policing, and this group is appointed by the Tennessee Supreme Court. It's hand-picked lawyers from across the state, and we decide those complaints against lawyers and make recommendations for discipline. I think that's a pretty high honor. I certainly feel that way. Judges are leaders, and I'm a leader in my community. From being president of the Lebanon Noon Rotary Club, being on the board of the SCAN, Senior Citizens Awareness Network, working with Wilson Warriors, being on the Lebanon Planning Commission, being on the Wilson Bank and Trust Community Council, and also being head of our local Rotary Foundation to date, I have been and will continue to be a leader in this community. The issues that General Sessions Division 3 deals with require an open mind, a compassionate heart, and a firm hand. One who can control a courtroom, but also allow all the Wilson Countyans who come before it to be heard. I can assure you that I will not develop any robe fever or what's called robitis, also known as. This judgeship belongs not to the person wearing the robe, but to the people of this great county. But more than my legal experience, I bring my own personal experience. My wife, Andrea, and I think she's sitting on the back because we have a nearly 6-month-old who can, as you know, go bad at any time. So she's sitting near the door there so she can slip out. But we're the proud parents of 3 wonderful children under the age of 5. And we've chosen Wilson County as the place we want to raise our children because we believe in this county. This county matters to us. The people here matter to us. And selfishly, maybe, I want the best community for our children. And that's why I want to be this judge. My family's roots run very deep here. My great-grandfather, and his picture actually is over there, 2 of them, the 1927 and 1930 picture, he was a member of this body when it was called the county court back in the 1920s and 1930s. My father was a member of this county commission when I believe there were 50 members in the 1960s. And I can, having to talk to 25, I can only imagine what it would have been like if there'd been 50 of y'all. Many of you also know my grandfather, or knew my grandfather, Buck Hagan. He was circuit judge here for 16 years in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. So I've got deep ties to this place. You all know a judge has the power to change lives, to help those who cannot help themselves. My father and grandfather taught me the importance of doing those things, doing it right. They said it's your job, your sole job if you become a judge, to do the right thing, to deliver justice. I've strived, I've done my best to live up to that in my career as a lawyer, and I believe I have. Otherwise, I don't think Judge Gwynn would have given me the opportunities he did to fill in for him. In addition to requesting that I fill in for him, Judge Gwynn has often given me some very good advice over the years. He's been a mentor to me. I started practice with my father in 2007, and my dad stayed with me for about 5 months until he said, "You've got your legs under you, I believe I'm ready to retire." But he's always been available at the call of a phone, so that's been nice. But Judge Gwynn recently gave me one really good piece of advice, and he's given me a lot over the years. But he's told me recently in his office, he said, "Son, do not lose your patience." He said, "Some people will do and say some really, really dumb things in court." He said, "You've seen some of it, but over 41 years, you haven't seen all that I have." He said, "Just don't lose your patience." I believe, I take that to heart, and I think those who know me will tell you that I have the knowledge, temperament, experience, open-mindedness, and humility to take office January 1, 2019. Tonight, as I stand before you and humbly ask for your vote, I want you to know that I'm eagerly prepared to serve this community for many, many years to come. Thank you.
Miss Julia Robinson.
Mayor Hutto and Commissioners, I'm Julie Robinson. As you know, I'm seeking this position for the Family Court Judge of Wilson County. I have had great experiences and the pleasure of working in a great law firm for over 15 years. I've been practicing in this county for over 16. I was born and raised in Wilson County, where I've been actively involved in the community. You've received letters on my behalf from others in the community across the county. You've received a letter and a resume from me that sets out my qualifications, sets out my experiences, which is very important in this. It sets out all that I've been involved in the community, from coaching youth league sports, teaching Sunday school at College Hills Church of Christ, from being in Habitat for Humanity, for being involved in building those houses for the last 3 or 4 years. I've been involved in a lot here. My family has deep roots here as well. It's my goal, my desire to serve in this position. I was approached by many members of the community. I was approached by my own colleagues here. I've represented other members of the bar in my practice. I've been called on by them to ask questions, to get my advice for their own situations, whether it be personal situations or whether it be a case that they're handling. They've trusted me for that kind of advice, and they came to me and told me that this is something I should do. And it was a hard decision, because I have been at that firm. I've been a partner in that firm for 11 years, and stepping out took a lot of thought. But after much thought and consideration, talking with others, I decided that this was exactly where I needed to be, was serving Wilson County as the family court judge. So I set out to seek this appointment, and I set out to prepare for elections in 2020 and in 2022, because that's what it's going to take to fulfill this role for many years to come. The experience that I've had, based on the complexity of the cases I've handled and the volume of cases that I've handled, typically opened over 100 files a year, and the majority of this, probably 97 to 98% of these cases, have been in domestic relations, divorce, custody, juvenile cases involving the juvenile delinquents and the dependent and neglected children, where I spent years serving as guardian ad litem in Judge Tatum's court to help those children, protect those children. The divorce cases, the custody cases, the orders of protection, the abused. That's what this court is about, and that's what I've spent my entire career doing. I've done a little work in the estate planning. There's probate and the mental health. I've served on that docket and in that court, both as the attorney and as the judge, since I first started practicing. I presided over cases for Judge Bob Hamilton when he was handling the mental health docket. I sat for Judge Barry Tatum in his juvenile court during the times when his wife was sick years ago. And I've served in essentially every type of case that Judge Gwynn handles. I've even heard divorce trials. I heard a trial just last week, week before last, I apologize. But I've served every case that he hears. I have handled those cases. And I do believe, just as Mr. Hagan said, that shows his trust. He knows that we are each qualified candidates for this position. So what sets me apart? Not only have I presided over each of these cases, but I've also been a Rule 31 listed family mediator, where I've been the neutral. Just as the judge has to be the neutral, has to be objective, I've served that role. I've brought other attorneys, bring their cases to me to help them resolve that. That's what it's all about in mediation. That's what it's about in court. It's bringing resolution to people. And based on the types of cases that I've handled, the volumes of cases that I've handled, I can step in on January 1 and continue moving those cases through the docket to bring the resolution for those families that are in turmoil. You know, each person that comes before the court, they've got a story to tell, something that tells you exactly why they got where they are. Each one of us has that story as well. That's one of the things I pride myself on, is I have a diverse experience. I've worked since I was a kid. I mowed yards. I've herded cattle, which I also had to do this weekend with my dad being down. But I've been a grill cook. I've managed a grocery store. During law school, I worked as a legal assistant to Mayor Jennings. I worked as a paralegal during law school for a family law attorney here in town. I have a diverse experience, and I believe that helps me to understand the people that will come before this court, that I can relate to them and I can understand how they got where they are. And what do they want? They want to hear. They want to be heard. They want us to take the time to hear their case, to be fair, objective, and courteous. They want us to be that way to not only to them, but to their attorney. And that's important to each person, to each of us when we go before the court. That's what we want. We want to be heard. We want a fair case. As I stand before you tonight, I believe that if I am allowed to fill this position, I will use the common sense that I was raised with. I will use the integrity and the work ethic that's been instilled in me my entire life to be a fair-minded, conscientious judge, to hear those that come before me, and to decide their case in the most fair manner possible. I ask you tonight for your vote.
I'd like to take this time to thank all three candidates for being willing to serve. I do think that we live in a great county, that we have three qualified people to take on this role tonight, and as they all have said, you have a tough challenge in front of you. Appreciate you keeping me in line to make sure I just slipped up and didn't let those people speak, and that was definitely something that needed to be done. Any questions about the voting from the commission? If not, you have ballots in your hand, I believe, already, and Mr. Marlowe, if you will help Ms. Dowdy collect those, we will do the counting. Also appreciate the audience that's here tonight that came to care about this process and about the candidates, so thank you for being here. Are all ballots in?
You ready? Robinson. Hagan. Robinson. 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 Marshall. Hagan. Robinson. Hagan. 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 Robinson. Marshall. Hagan. Robinson. Hagan. Hagan. Robinson. 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 Marshall. Marshall. Eleven Robinson, 8 Hagan, 4 Marshall.
And 11 for Robinson, 8 for Hagan, 4 for Marshall. Mr. Marshall, thank you. Your name will be dropped from our options at this time, and we will re-vote. Again, reminding you, it takes 13 votes to win the appointment. Be sure and put your district number and sign your ballot if you want it to be counted. Will not be counted if you do not sign it. You have two options now, Mr. Inslee Hagan and Miss Julie Robinson. Be sure and sign your ballot. You have one to vote for out of Mr. Inslee Hagan and Miss Julie Robinson. Have all ballots been received?
We ready to go? Robinson. Hagan. 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 Robinson. Hagan. Robinson. Hagan. 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 Robinson. Robinson. Hagan. Robinson. Hagan. Hagan. Robinson. Hagan. Hagan. Robinson. 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 What you got? Hagan 13, Robinson 10.
We have Hagan 13, Robinson 10. Ms. Julie Robinson, thank you for your willingness to want to serve. Mr. Hagan, congratulations to you and thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for Commission.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay. Ready to move forward now? You are to elect one member to serve an unexpired term of Mr. Eugene Murray on the Board of Zoning Appeals. I would like to recommend to you Mr. Mark Kahinsky for this position. Do I hear a motion to approve? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Industrial Development Board member, Mr. Don Scott, has asked to be relieved from his duties on the Industrial Development Board. His term will expire in 2024. I'd like to recommend to you Mr. Luke Winchester. Information in the packet was presented to you about Mr. Winchester. Do I hear a motion to approve? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Report from the Emergency Management Committee, Commissioner Glover.
Met on November 1st, 2018 at 6 p.m. at the WEMA Training Room on Oak Street in Lebanon, Tennessee. Move that the minutes be received and filed.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Emergency Management Director's Report, Director Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor, County Commission. In your packet, you'll have our run reports. We have been having some busy months. Our call volume's about normal for this time of year, with our year-to-date total being 13,185 calls so far. You'll see our major activity report. Outside of that, happy Thanksgiving. I want to wish to each and every one of you and the audience. That concludes my report unless there's any questions.
Got a motion and a second, and then I'll go to Commissioner Ash.
Director Cooper, this issue about Cedar Forest is still bothering me a lot. They've done away with their fire protection, is that right? Do you know for sure?
Yes, they have like a dozer that's still out there. They have one per se maintenance person that stays out there some. It's not 24/7 or anything like that, but outside of that, no.
Well, Commissioner Robinson's got one side of that highway, and I got a big part of the other. So are y'all continuing to work with who's left out there in case we end up with something, God forbid, like California? But that's a lot of area, and it gets real dry in there, and I just want to ask you to continue to work with them, see if they've got a plan, an operating plan.
Right, we do, you know, and that's part of the collaboration between currently with Lebanon Fire Department and Mount Juliet Fire Department, along with Watertown, and actually Rutherford County and Alexandria. And that's what a lot of that is for, in case you hit those major issues with wildfires or major house fires in those areas. But yes, we are continuing that, yes.
Commissioner Vanatta.
Yes, I just wanted to say, two of those people in the report have been myself and my daughter. And I want to say thank you to the guys that came out. They were absolutely wonderful, very reassuring, and we really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other question for Director Cooper? Any comments, Commissioner Dow, on, I saw you shaking your head about the issue of Cedar Forest? Any?
I'm with him wholeheartedly on that. You know, we went to Gatlinburg and we fought those, so we're pretty much prepared for it if anything does, you know, break out. But you're gonna need help from everybody.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Thank you, Director Cooper. Report from Law Enforcement Committee, Commissioner Rich.
Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners, the Law Enforcement Committee met on the 29th day of October at the Criminal Justice Center. The minutes are in your package. I move this be received by.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. And opposed? And the Sheriff's report, Sheriff Grizzly Bryan.
Yeah, I need some free tickets for this, okay? Your report's in your packet. It's pretty much call volume, different things like that. You see are pretty much subpar for this time of year. Again, I want to look at a couple of things on there that sticks out to me. The state warrants received, they're up a whole lot, and what does that mean? It means more people going to be incarcerated, which leads me to my next one, which is again, broken record here, the jail capacity and the number of inmates in the jail. So we continue to have talks about that, and we'll continue moving forward and come up with a plan here in the next little bit to try to come up with some solutions as it relates to that. The work crew staying busy throughout the county. Encourage each and every one of you that right now is a good time when the grass has died down, all the trash starts showing up, because you can see it now. Call us. Let us know where it's at. I've got 2 or 3 people who's told me tonight to some spots that need to be addressed. So just let us know about that, and we'll get it taken care of. Other than that, I want to wish each and every one of you a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe. A lot of people out traveling. Just it's the main thing. Be safe, and thankful for everything you do have. We do have, and that concludes my report.
A motion to approve? Motion. And a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Thank you, Sheriff Bryan. Report from Education Committee, Commissioner Stafford. Okay. Director of Schools Report, Dr. Donna Wright.
Good evening, Mayor, County Commissioners. You have a report in your packet, very brief. We're in the final weeks of our first semester, and which has gone very, very quickly. Just some highlights just to point out. We have a notation there as far as students that were being recognized as National Merits semifinalists. That means that they're in the top 1% of over 1 million students, likewise their peers in the nation. So you're talking about not only brilliance, but this is something that's recalibrated every year, so you never know how that's going to fall. But we have 4 from Mount Juliet High School and 1 from Lebanon High School, so I want to note and recognize those youngsters. And then just as you look at the ACT average composite scores over 5 years, again, this is something that we're recognizing all 4 high schools, looking at all content areas, and that's the composite. And that continues to grow and show success there, which is, again, you're talking about potential not only scholarship money, but we now have employers that are looking at individual ACT scores as a method of looking at work ethic and as far as what they have taken in high school. Also, it was already recognized earlier by one of the candidates, Mr. Hagan, now Judge Hagan, as far as recognizing 2 of our high schools for their really outstanding football season. Watertown High School versus Trousdale County gave it their best effort, but I'll have to say I don't know that I've ever seen a school that size have that many cars parked for a football game, even if it was going in the championship. It was unbelievable. And then Mount Juliet, which is the perennial, I mean, you have to walk a distance to get into that game, and they were going up against Oakland, so that was outstanding as well. And just a comment, this is a period of not only thankfulness, but also being grateful. We had a tragedy last week. And even though you could say, it's not school-related, anytime that you're looking at something with the loss of a child, just a senseless tragedy. And I want to not only reach out to the Sheriff's Department as being grateful, but just the sensitivity as far as when you're working with young people, even looking at the horrendous of this crime. I want to thank Sheriff Bryant, Scott Moore, all of the law enforcement that have helped us through this because, again, a very, very difficult time, very sensitive, very heart-wrenching because you're looking at 2 families that have lost their children. And then all those that are on the periphery that have had or will be touched by this. So, again, I wanted to do a public thanks for that effort that took place last week. And during this period of thankfulness, sometimes, and I know many of you that have grown up here, this is what you know. For someone that has been other places, particularly in a fairly large county, I continue to be just in awe, even when there's disagreements, how everyone in this county stands together, holds hands, and there's appreciation. And so with that, happy Thanksgiving, and just know that it's recognized, understood, and it's appreciated, particularly for those that is an adopted home. Thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Thank you, Dr. Wright. Report from Public Works Committee, Commissioner Keith. Ag Center Manager Report, Commissioner Rich.
Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners, the Ag Center Committee met out at the Ag Center on the 29th day of October. Minutes are in your packet. Make a motion to be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Animal Control, Commissioner Marlowe.
No report.
Audit, Commissioner Bernard.
No report.
Cable Television, Commissioner Walker.
Mayor, County Commission, Cable TV Committee met on Monday, October the 29th at 7:30 p.m. in the upstairs conference room. I move that these be received and filed.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Development Tourism, Commissioner Vanatta.
Tourism met on Tuesday, November
6th at 6 p.m. in the upstairs conference room. I move this report be received and filed.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Ethics, Commissioner Ash. Finance, Commissioner Gentry.
Finance Committee met on November 7th at 5 p.m. upstairs in the conference room. The minutes are in your package. I make a motion we receive and file.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Health and Recreation, Commissioner Patton. Insurance, Commissioner Ash.
Mayor, we met here on the 20th. We approved the minutes verbally, the last commission meeting. Those minutes are in your packet. If there's any questions, I'll try to answer them. Other than that, I'd move they be approved again.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Judicial, Commissioner Keith. Planning and Zoning, Commissioner McFarland.
The Planning and Zoning Committee met on Monday, November the 5th at 6 p.m. Minutes in your packet, move to be received and filed. We'll meet again on the 6th, and Mayor, I'd like to have you come join us, please.
Yes, sir. I got a motion and a second. And the discussion is, we have open house on December the 6th, and about all of y'all to be there from 3 to 6. And while I'm out at the Planning Commission meeting, Commissioner McFarland will be receiving guests tonight. Thank you, sir. Seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Rules, Commissioner Gentry. Urban Type Facility Board, Commissioner Rich.
Mr. Chairman, the Urban Type Facility Board met at the Road Commission office on November the 2nd. Minutes in your packet again, motion they be received and filed.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. And opposed? Finance Director's Report, Mr. Aaron Maynard.
First, I want to apologize for the first time in my tenure you do not have a finance report. We are still in the process of converting the data from local government to Skyward. I'm told that will happen this week, which is Thanksgiving, so I'm not sure, or next week. So as soon as that happens, I will email you a copy of the finance report. What we can see, things are coming in exactly as we expect, but we don't have all the history transferred over at this time. You also have a draft copy of the first Service Efforts and Accomplishments Report, which is something that is near and dear to my heart. It's something that I've had on my mind for a number of years, and outside of possibly Davidson County doing something along the lines of a Service Efforts and Accomplishments Report, there is not another county in Tennessee that's doing something like this. This is basically set up in a GASB concept statement. It talks about establishing performance measures for governments. So I've chosen the 14 to 16 period to sort of be the baseline. And if Director Cooper and Sheriff Bryan would join me for just one moment, I need to thank them personally because this does not happen without their cooperation. A lot of data has to be obtained. It has to be converted into a format that is usable for what we're trying to do. They made available to me Major Lance Howell, who provided a tremendous amount of information and input from the Sheriff's Department. Made available to me Brian Newberry from WEMA. And I need to thank my newest, well, he's not my newest staff member anymore, but one of my newest staff members, Joe Good, for helping me to put this together. And it's something that I'm very proud of. It's with you in draft form tonight because I would like for you to have the opportunity to review it and to tell me what you would like to see. I understand this only covers 2 departments at the present time. It will be updated for 17 and 18 once we get a chance to settle down from the software conversion a little bit, and assuming that those same people can be made available to me again to help me convert data and get it into a usable format. So this is the first of what I hope is an annual report, and I hope it will expand. However, I would like to keep it short so that it's very easy for people to look at and understand. And I hope it's something that even the general public takes an interest in over time, so. And also the mayor, by the way, that the first person that I approached, and my apologies, Mayor, the first person that I approached about this project was the mayor, and he was 100% in all the way, and I appreciate that very much. So that concludes my report, unless you have any questions for me.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? I do want to compliment Mr. Maynard and Mr. Joe, which spent a lot of time on this. This is, again, there are a lot of things that go on day to day that we try to continue to refine and look at department heads and elected officials as we all work together to make things better and to be prepared for every time the budget season comes around, as well as knowing what we need and how well we're doing what we're doing. And so that encourages a lot of you guys that are in here. Report from the Budget Committee, Commissioner Keith.
Budget Committee met on Wednesday, November the 7th, here at the courthouse. Unless someone has some questions, move they be received and filed.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? Okay. Resolutions, Commissioner Keith. No, sir. Tourism, which I think is in your packet, should be 18-11-3. I think that's the one that was in the consent agenda. So if you start with it, we'll be good to go.
18-11-3, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners, Wilson County, Tennessee, to amend the budget and appropriation resolution for the 2018-19 fiscal year for line item transfers for tourism.
I got a motion and a second. Now, any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Stafford? Please, all hearts and minds good? Please record. 23 yes and 2 absent. Resolution passes.
18-11-4, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee, to approve and accept the bond of Wilson County Road Commissioner Zone 2, Chad Bernard.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
We need to do a background check on these people.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Go ahead.
18-11-5, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee, to approve and accept the bond of Wilson County Road Commissioner, Zone 4, Ms. Sonia Robinson.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed?
18-11-6, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee, to amend the budget and appropriation resolution for the 2018-19 fiscal year for line item transfers in the Wilson County Sheriff's Office.
Got a motion and a second. Now discussion. Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. Costley? Commissioner? All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 23 yes, 2 absent. Resolution passes.
18-11-7, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee, to amend the budget and appropriation resolution for the 2018-19 fiscal year to make an additional appropriations from the fire truck reserve to WEMA.
Got a motion and a second. Now, any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. Mr. Gentry? Mr. Jones? All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 23 yes, 2 absent. Resolution passes.
18-11-8, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee, to reflect revenues received but not included in the original budget for the 2018-19 fiscal year, and to amend the budget and appropriation resolution for the 2018-19 fiscal year to make an additional appropriations to WEMA.
I got a motion and a second. Now discussion. Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 23 yes, 2 absent. Resolution passes.
18-11-9, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee to amend the budget and appropriation resolutions for the 2018-19 fiscal year to make an additional appropriation from the data processing fee reserved to the Register of Deeds.
Got a motion and a second. Now discussion. Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good? Please record. 23 yes, 2 absent. Resolution passes.
Resolution of 18-11-10, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee to approve a contract of business insurance renewal with Travelers.
Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 23 yes, 2 absent. Resolution passes.
18-11-11, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee to amend the budget and appropriation resolution for the 2018-19 fiscal year to make an additional appropriation from the general fund into planning.
Do I hear a motion to approve? And a second. Now, conversation? Yes.
From $25,000 to not to exceed $10,000.
I got a motion on the floor to amend this resolution to say 10,000, not to exceed 10,000. And I've got a second by Commissioner McFarland, I think. Any discussion on the amendment? Any discussion on the amendment?
Only discussion I have, fellow commissioners, Mr. Mayor, I just don't think that would be enough to attract anyone, but we'll see what the vote comes out to be.
We'll try a voice. Commissioner Patton? This was money set aside for a court decision that was made that gave us the opportunity to clean this up, and that's what the money is for that particular one only.
Did the court put the amount on it?
No. No, it was just a number that was given, as Mayor Jennings told us last month, an amount that was given to set aside that we would use whatever was needed to take care of the business, and then that money would go back or whatever after that time. Just wanted to make sure there was enough there.
Do we know that it would be closer to 10,000 or 25,000?
Tom, has that been bid? You can, 4,700, is that correct, Tom?
I believe the quote was for 4,500 from a Pete Calvetti. And we are trying to ensure that, or assure that he is licensed, bonded, and insured before we proceed. And that was something that Mayor Jennings asked us to do today, or County Attorney Jennings asked us to do today, and we're trying to seek answers to that question.
Okay. Commissioner
But that's the one bid we've received.
Pushing in there because you get down there, you don't know what you're going to get into maybe exactly. So I think the amendments, even though it's more than the bid, it can roll back, I guess, but I think that's an appropriate action to take.
Okay.
We need to help that family down there that's got that problem.
Okay. So you hear the motion on the floor. It's an amendment to the motion that's there, 10,000 or less. You heard the bid, and Ms. Robinson accepts that amendment as well. So I guess we don't have to even vote on that. We can move forward. Is that correct?
Vote on the resolution as amended.
Okay. So since she accepted the motion, the amendment, we can move on with the voting for the resolution as amended, unless I have any other discussion. Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 21 yes, 2 noes, and 2 absents. Resolution passes. This time, before we go into that, Commissioner Keith, is there a time for, or need for a public hearing, Mr. Bashir, before we start with the amendment to the zoning ordinance? Okay, so can I hear a motion to go out of session? And a second? All in favor, say aye. And then, Tom, if we will, I'll let Mr. Bashir's, Commissioner Keith, conduct a public hearing on these 2 ordinances.
We have 2 items that need to go before public hearing this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, a public hearing will be held before the Wilson County Commission on Monday, November 19th, 2018 at 7 p.m. or thereafter in the County Commission Room here at the Wilson County Courthouse located at 228 East Main Street, Lebanon, Tennessee. The first item for consideration is a resolution to amend the Wilson County zoning ordinance and change regulations regarding fences and freestanding walls near property boundaries. A copy of this resolution has been on file at the Wilson County Planning Office located at 228 East Main Street and has been available for inspection during regular business hours. Anyone desiring to comment on this resolution is requested to come forward at this time.
Anyone here wishing to speak on the first ordinance? Seeing none, Tom, can we go over the second one as well?
Yes. A public hearing will be held before the Wilson County Commission on Monday, November 19th, 2018 at 7 p.m. or thereafter in the County Commission Room here at 228 East Main Street in Lebanon, Tennessee, Wilson County. The following item is for consideration, a resolution clarifying language for building permits and site plans. And again, a copy of this resolution has been on file with the Wilson County Planning Office located at 228 East Main Street and has been available for inspection during regular business hours. Anyone requesting to comment is asked to come forward at this time.
If you're here and want to speak on this, please step to the podium in the back, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, I will close public comment period. I need a motion to go back into session. Second, all in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? Okay, and Tom?
Taking up the first resolution regarding fences and freestanding walls near property boundaries. It came to our attention recently that we have some language in the zoning ordinance that frankly has not been followed ever, and I'm not sure you would want us to. It was regarding the location of fences along property lines. I can tell you what the language is right now. It says, all fences shall be set back a minimum of 5 feet. The regulations shall not apply to residential and agricultural property. All opaque fences exceeding 3 feet in height shall be set back a minimum of 10 feet, and that setback should apply to opaque fences on all properties within the unincorporated areas of Wilson County, Tennessee. Neither one of those are anything that we've followed recently. If you think about farm fences, they routinely are along property lines. And then there's another clause, the site distance shall not be obstructed by fences located on corner lots. We did keep some semblance of that one, but we modified it with the language that we put in. And effectively what we did is we wrote in language that was more in keeping with what we actually do. We did put in a protection along front property lines that if you're going to have a fence above, you can't have a fence above 3.5 feet in height. You cannot, that's within 10 feet of the property line. If it's below that, you can. You cannot have an opaque fence along your front property line within the front 10 feet of your property if it's above 3.5 feet in height. And no fence shall be above 8 feet unless it's a prison facility or solid waste facility or something like that. We put in an exception for agriculture. We also put in some language based on some experiences I've had in other places I've worked, whereby we ask that the materials that someone uses for a fence or wall be initially intended for that purpose, not simply graffiti garage doors that somebody puts up out of spite for their neighbor or something to that effect. So that's more or less the origin of why we're doing that resolution. It's a housekeeping ordinance to try to clean up the ordinance to be a little bit more in keeping with what we actually do.
So you have Resolution 18-11-12 in front of you, amend the ordinance about the fences. I got a motion to approve. I had a second as well. Any other discussion? Commissioner Ash?
Anybody that's out there that's already got one?
Yes, there is I believe there is
Got a grandfather?
yeah, no part of this regulation shall have any impact on pre-existing use on appeals approvals, and the regulation in place at the time of the approval of such activity shall take precedent. That actually should be modified a little bit to say that any use of a fence that was there,
Can we modify it right now?
yeah, that's fine.
I'd offer that as an amendment.
Modify the amendment in a second, that is a grandfathering clause to make sure the language is correct. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Under section 4.
And you're good there, Tom?
Yes.
Okay, and Mike, are we good? Okay,
As long as Sandra knows what the wording is supposed to be,
are you good?
put in the minutes.
Okay. So with the amendment, we'll vote on the amendment first that we have. Sir?
If they'll accept the amendment, you won't have to.
So, okay. So who accepts the amendment?
I said if they will, if the maker will accept the amendment.
And the maker of this resolution is who?
Commissioner McFarland. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right, okay. Any other discussion then? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Let the record reflect it was unanimous. Tom?
The next item is a ordinance whereby we've had some problems with building permits staying sort of out in limbo for a number of years in certain cases, and we wanted to try to firm up some of the language. A building permit in the zoning ordinance is traditionally good or valid for 12 months as long as you're making progress. But the question became, what constitutes progress? So what we did is we sought to define what constituted progress with regard to building permits. With regard to the site plan language we changed, we said that in no event shall a new commercial, industrial, or multifamily residential, and we added public assembly or institutional structure or addition, including new, and this is new, including new construction or new establishment of parking lots or outdoor storage yards or outdoor display areas in a commercial zone district, be erected on property without prior review and approval of a site plan by the Wilson County Planning Commission or Board of Zoning Appeals in the case of multifamily residential uses. Said site plan shall be prepared, et cetera, et cetera. That's the same language that's already in there. But effectively, what we were doing there was modifying the site plan language to be a little bit more inclusive of some uses we're getting out on the property that don't necessarily, out in different commercial properties in the county that don't necessarily constitute a new building or new building site. They're simply rolling in a parking lot to sell cars or to sell boat storage or something like that. We wanted them to go through the site plan process so that we could counsel with that applicant about how many cars is reasonable to be provided on a particular site in a display area or for parking purposes if they're going to run a business there. So that was the purpose of that aspect of that amendment.
I got a motion on Resolution 18-11-13 on the ordinance here. I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? Let the record reflect it was unanimous again.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Thanksgiving. I hope if any of you are traveling, you have safe travels.
Any old business to come before this body? Any new business? Seeing none, I wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving, and one more motion. All in favor say aye.